tell us what's going on with Disney now.
Well, new Magic Bands are coming to the Walt Disney World Resort starting next week. The Orlando Weekly is reporting this. The all-new Magic Band seems like they've updated this multiple
Right.
times, but it'll have um, official and we presume magical coming from Disney. It'll debut again. We said looking July 27 type range. The new wearable technology will offer an array of uh, new amenities compared to the previous Magic Bands. Guests will be able to embark on adventures with characters like Tinkerbell. I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, part of the lure of Disney is trying to figure out how they do it, and I think this near field communication technology that they use for the Magic Bands is incredible. I'm a huge proponent of it. I know that it cost I think, from what I understand, I think that the published original budget was $1 billion to outfit Disney World, and then they ended up reporting that it was like 5 billion or something to actually do it. But the benefits have been there, because not only can you can load money on it. We talked about that with the cashless thing. You can open your hotel door and stuff, but you can also have a unique experience with it, and that's what the Magic Band Plus is all about. The Magic Band Plus, what they've announced so far is that it'll interact with the 50th anniversary stuff. So I'm not exactly sure what that means, but you can interact around the park with 50th anniversary statues or whatever, and in the Star Wars area. I know that right now you can interact with use the app to like start up one of the droids or whatever, but you're going to be able to use your Magic Band for that. So Don, the Magic Band thing, it's funny because they put it at Walt Disney World, but it hasn't really gone to their other Disney locations, and I think it's probably a cost thing. But do you think that technology like that is the future of the industry?
Well, I mean, certainly it's going to be for Disney, but you'd like to see more things like that. But you mentioned the cost. It's exorbitant. So who has that kind of money? So I don't know that you would ever see it like industry wide. But definitely, it's interesting. It's engaging. Uh, so you'd like to see it rolled out everywhere, but I just don't see how it'd be feasible to do that
Let me
everywhere.
give you an example of what I'm thinking as far as it rolling out everywhere. And by everywhere, I don't necessarily mean, the park in the middle of Pennsylvania that has one ride, obviously. It's kind of like the cashless thing. We're talking about on a certain scale at least. But let me give you an anecdote. So there was an article, I think it was in USA Today, with the CEO, well, now former CEO of WWE, Vince McMahon, and this was like 2005. Now it's probably like 2008 or nine, and he was talking about how their weekly show was going HD. Okay, so the reporter asked him, um, you know, since you guys are always considering yourself like on top of stuff, like why didn't you go HD, 3 years ago when it became available on the airwaves? And furthermore, why didn't you wait till the first of the year? Like why now? Essentially is what they were asking. And he said, there's always a golden zone. There's always a time when it's too early and it's too expensive and it's too late and it's passe, and you have to adopt right in that golden zone. So I think that as the technology improves and it gets cheaper and you can start outfitting parks in the millions rather than the billions, there's going to be a benefit there. But then again, if you're a park, you don't want to get it 15 years from now when everyone's seen it already. So I think that there is a case for that. Don't you agree?
I mean, yeah, there's certainly a case for it, but I think also, you have to look at, what the opportunity to use it is for a guest. Most of the seasonal parks, you're drawing from, maybe 100, 120 miles, for the most part. They're not staying on, these, the hotels, those types of things. So I think you just want to, if it's just for an in-park experience, it's going to be different than what you're going to do at a Disney, where you are, normally staying on property at one of the resorts. You're going to the different, Disney things around Orlando and that. So there's a lot of different ways you can use that than just in the park.
Yeah, I mean, well, what I was envisioning for your regular Six Flags, Hershey, whatever park would be, it would be a Magic Band in lieu of season pass. So you tap to get into the park. The declining balance or whatever if you wanted to. And then if you want to have the interactive elements, you could. And then one thing that I thought was cool that they do with the Magic Bands that I think is a huge benefit is a lot of parks offer season long ride photos, like different programs involved with that. And I've had that on and off, but oftentimes I didn't get the photo because there's a big crowd of people there looking at their photo, and I don't want to deal with it, and it's just not worth it. And then, you have a declining value at that point, so you don't get it the next year. But I know on Seven Dwarfs Mine Ride at Disney World in Orlando, they actually have it so there's an NFC communication thing in the lap bar, so it knows if you with a Magic Band have the photo pass, you're sitting in that seat, and it sends it to you automatically. I think there's a benefit for things like that. I mean, and we can sit here and speculate as to what you can use it for besides that, but the fact that, it identifies who you are, where you are, what you're trying to do, and it's able to take action on it. I think those statements alone, you could think of 10 or $15 million ideas to implement.
Yeah, no, I do think you could see down the road where a lot of parks transition from plastic to a band, for the season pass with the technology that's out there. I can definitely see it going that route.
Yeah, and then it comes down to, when we talk about time frames, they came out with the Magic Bands, like, God, it was like 10 years ago now. But nowadays smartphones are so good, and like, most people have these Apple Watches, um, if I had to choose, like when I went to obviously there's a novelty about having a Magic Band, but if I was a regular in Orlando and I was an annual pass holder and I had to say, okay, I can either use my Apple Watch or I can use my Magic Band, I'm sure as heck using my Apple Watch because I don't have to root around and find it and put it on and have an extra thing on my wrist and so on. I use my watch for everything. I use my watch for payments, for my season passes, everything. Just because pulling out my phone is one less thing I have to do. So I think that maybe, contradicting what I said earlier, maybe in 5 years or so, the spirit of the technology is there, but not necessarily with the bands themselves, because you got to think the distribution would be kind of expensive too. Even if they're, maybe $1 each to manufacture, and then, I mean, the price would come down, but we're talking about hundreds of thousands of season pass holders in some instances. Like that's a good chunk of change. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, for
Yeah, I
sure.
mean, just handing out anything to all season pass holders and stuff is just, I mean, yeah, the price is pretty incredible.